Longer than I thought we'd be here.
And welcome in 2025 Washed Up Walkons podcast. Kevin's face, the look of maybe shock, maybe tired. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he's walked the long path of podcasting. We're entering year 7. We're in year 7, I think. Technically, we're not on a calendar year start, so I think. I think we're in year 7 of podcasting.
We will hit 7 full years in October this year?
Yeah.
Let's see if we make it.
I think every year we continue to go. It's weird. Do the odds get better that we continue to do another year, or do the odds get worse? At some point, it's probably flips the other way. I'm not sure where that is. We're glad you're here with us, listening, Washed Up Walk-Ons fans. Many of you have been here for the entire 7 years, and you've run the whole race with us. And Jesus, I mean, how? Right? Why?
How many were there the first year?
Oh, it was pretty immediately. I remember. I mean, the only reason why this thing ever took off was because it was so big right away. Otherwise, I don't know if we would have truly kept it up. But I would say, in our first year, that first season, that hype that we had, the new podcast, the new Iowa podcast, we had just as many listeners as we do now, because some have faded. We've gotten new ones over the years. There's a bunch of people who are tried and true. I think CJ in the Discord, by the way, patreon.com/washupwalkons. If you want to join the Walk-On Army in 2025, always new opportunities. One of those perks is the Discord private community that we've built here and fostered amongst the Walk-On listenership. And CJ said that he went back and listened to the Donnelly's episode the other day.
The Donnelly's episode.
So for anybody who's curious and wasn't there basically from the beginning, I mean, that episode was, I think, year 2, because I was in town for a game. I believe you and I, Kevin, went to. I don't remember. I believe it was.
Yeah, there was one of the alumni reunion events for a Friday night. Then we bailed on that a little early and went to Donnelly's, raided some wings. They were fantastic. And then there must have been a home game the next day.
So the first ever on-site partnership that we ever did. Donnelly's hit us up. Somebody from Donnelly's hit us up, like, hey, you want to come do a podcast from Donnelly's, like record in Donnelly's, like, push us a little bit and we'll give you free dinner. And we were like,
free wings. Hell yeah.
We were 1 year into podcasting and we were like, you're going to give us free. Now remember, Kevin and I, not kids of the NIL era, right? Anything free to us was like, oh my God.
It was a win.
And truly, that's when we got our NIL. We got it right there in wings. And that's all you can ask.
No, because they didn't pay us to promote them. They just said, hey, free wings.
That's true. That's true.
And we rated them, honestly, and they were fantastic.
They were awesome. They were great fucking wings. The episode itself, though, is where I was going with that, was brutal. I mean, back then, Kevin and I
remember, because you had to bring your thing into the bar, and it was tough to get. I imagine that sound quality was horrible.
And not only were we in a live bar, but it was episode. I mean, we hadn't done 100 episodes yet. Like, we weren't. I don't know if you call us polished now, but we definitely weren't polished then. And, great times. We made it through. We upgraded equipment. We upgraded softwares. We've gotten a little bit better as we've done hundreds of hours.
I remember a time back, those early episodes where, like, I'd start talking and I'm like remembering, like, oh, there's 10,000 people listening right now. And it just started to, like, freeze up a little bit.
I've never thought of it that way. I think the only time it was ever, like, truly evident to me was, like, I could really feel it was the episode after the Doyle stuff, because I knew thousands of people were flocking that didn't listen just for that one episode. But yeah, here we are, 2025.
Do you want to do a moment of silence for Donnelly's, though, by the way?
Yeah, dude. Sad.
Tough.
Does Kevin know that? Kevin, you know that Donnelly's is no more?
Closed.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's why I thought you mentioned it, too.
Oh, I mean, they deserve it. This could be their shout out. This could be their last hurrah.
When did that happen?
It was
like
recently.
a week ago, maybe.
Yeah,
like
A week ago.
It could have been January 1 for all I know.
probably.
This is very recent.
Damn.
If anybody makes food and wants us to just podcast and talk about their food,
Gray's is still excellent.
Bring us in. Great. We'll continue to work with Gray's. Gray's is a on and off partnership. I got to get with Pete here in the new year too and figure out some off-season stuff. I would love for Gray's to be like the one and only true presenting sponsor of this show. I just have to work that out with Pete and Kim. We could put the Gray's logo down here instead of our old logo. Anyway, we've picked up plenty of followers and listeners along the way. We've lost a few. We lost a host. We gained a host. We lost a host. We gained a host. We lost a host. And for now, we've still got 3 hosts, but one looks different. He's younger.
I'm working on getting Drake back. It's a slow process. It'll happen though.
Are you actually?
You got a long play going there?
It's a long play. You can't. What's the tortoise in the hare? We're taking the tortoise method right now.
Okay.
But ultimately, we'll win.
Well, Grant Tortuga Allen. If you're new around here and you popped in around 2024 or 2025, there's always new listeners that are joining the show. My name's Tyler Kluver. I was a long snapper for the University of Iowa, basically a glorified water boy, 8 snaps a game, walk on. This is Kevin Ward. Played a lot more snaps than me.
Not really.
Well, you played a lot more snaps than me.
Over the course of 5 years, did I though?
Oh, well, maybe it was even then. And he was thought to be
more than half my plays, there were not a snap.
True. I was basically a water boy. Kevin was perceived to be a water boy by one of our own teammates. And the former Drake Kulik
still hurts.
I know. The former he got a sweet sack on Aaron Rodgers the other day. Shout out to AJ Epinesa. Drake Kulik used to host this show. He's a volatile human in many ways and hasn't been on the show for a little over a year now. And then we have the intern G-Bone G-String Grant Allen, who's now officially for a while now been our 3rd host. So welcome in. We're glad you're here in 2025. We're not going anywhere. We want to provide you tons of guest episodes, but also in the off season, I'm talking, but also we'll try and do some specific topic based episodes. We'll get into a little bit of that tonight after we get through the intro here. First of all, I just want to take a moment to recognize Grant's Broncos.
And how about those Broncos?
How you feeling, man?
How about those Broncos? I mean, I could not feel better. Could you imagine not being a believer? I would be sick to my stomach if I wasn't a believer out there. I can't even imagine what that's like. I couldn't even fathom. I've just been scrolling through the receipts all day. People like, oh, what are the Broncos going to do with the number 1 pick next year? What are they going to do when they go 3-13? And where are we sitting right now? We're in the playoffs. I'm excited. I'm going to Buffalo. The playoff streak of missing the playoffs since the Super Bowl, it's over. Got that off the back. Bo Nix is the future of the NFL and the future of the Broncos. And life just couldn't be better.
The future of the NFL.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Kansas City sat all their starters today.
And I'm not going to apologize for winning. Right? I'm not going to apologize for winning.
As you shouldn't.
All I know, true or true, the Broncos are in the playoffs now because of a win against the Chiefs.
That's facts.
True or true?
It's facts.
That's all I know.
And then it has been when was that year? What was 2015?
2015, yeah. 2015, I think the Super Bowl was technically in 2016.
But yeah. Wow. Almost a decade.
Right.
That was the last time they made the playoffs.
Yeah, it was the Super Bowl. So
damn.
And that was with
Josie.
With old Peyton. I know, right? Josie plays for the Broncos.
It's there for the 6-year stretch that they suck.
Hey, he's welcome back anytime he wants. If he ever wants to come back, put on those beautiful Orange Crush uniforms that they wore today.
Those uniforms.
The Broncos have always had the cleanest uniforms in the league, I think.
Ooh, I'm gonna clip that. Thank you, Kevin. That's all. Ooh,
I wish.
I mean, throw out some other options out there. I think the Broncos always had the best unis in the league.
Cleanest uniform. I'm partial to this. I'm partial to the Steelers.
Iowa football podcast. Got to say Steelers.
Yeah. I really am partial to the Steelers, and it's probably just the bias of like wearing the black and gold for 5 years.
Sure.
Let's see.
Division rival. I like some of the Chargers uniforms though.
Chargers
Chargers got some good ones.
I'll say this:
the Dolphins too.
Old school, the Oilers combo of colors was sick.
How do you feel about the Titans wearing those every time they play Houston? How do you feel about that?
I think it's kind of funny.
It's like they're trolling them, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I'm trying to think of who else has
I
great.
like Honolulu blue as well with the Lions. I think that's a good color.
I will say this, and this was because I was a fan of them when I was younger, so I'm sure, again, more bias. But the classic St. Louis Rams look, ooh, I love that.
Sure.
I love that.
Can I just say I like most?
I think that was just kind of highlighted by the greatest show on turf. That they made that look cool.
They helped it out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were doing a lot of work there.
I think in the NFL, I just like all the jerseys now that I'm going through it. Like Dolphins, love those, if I'm just being honest.
I like the Buccaneers jerseys. I like
49ers, I think, got good jerseys. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I just like all of them.
I like the 49ers all white unis.
Ooh, yeah, those are clean.
Oh, yeah.
Those are clean. Yeah, so the Broncos are going to be – so they're going to Buffalo. That'll be their first game.
We're going to Buffalo. Last time we went there, game-winning field goal. No one thought we could do it. Got the win there. And no one assumes we can do it this time. And, hey, that's exactly how I want it. That's exactly how I want it. No one believes we can do it.
Talk your shit. I feel your confidence and the infatuation. I feel it all coming through the screen right now. It's great. I wish it makes me wish that I was into the NFL right now. I wish I had a team. I wish I had someone to root for. Maybe I'll be a pseudo Broncos fan through you until their playoff run is over, which admittedly could be very fast.
We will welcome you on, but you're going to have to deal with some of the old takes exposed you've had through the past 2 Broncos seasons of chirping me. You will have to deal with that. And
I'm not pledging my allegiance officially by any means.
You're welcome to join as well. Kevin,
I like their uniforms. I like that they have one of Iowa's exciting whites in Riley Moss. And I honestly, if I was going to pick a couple teams, I'd pick the Niners. Georgia's on the Niners. I like watching Josie. I like Laporta and the Lions and what they got going, and Campbell. And then I like the exciting whites. Give me the Eagles and the Broncos. Like I like following our guys. That's how I view the NFL. I think Kevin's probably similar. I mean, I know Kevin's from Chicago. I don't know if he claims the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, I could just. We weren't a big NFL family, period. I mean, obviously, we loved football, so we watched football every Sunday. But
of course,
we would watch the Bears games, but we're never huge Bears fans. And so like I kind of started liking like specific players and like their teams. So I love Peyton Manning, so I liked watching the Colts. And then when he went to the Broncos, I liked watching him there. And then once we got to Iowa, it's just basically where are the Iowa guys at?
Yeah. The God, I remember watching Peyton. Peyton was fun to watch play football. He'll walk up to the line and just change a play to exactly what's going to hurt the defense. He just knew everything.
Yeah, until like his last 2 years, like he just didn't have enough zip on the ball anymore.
Get old.
Yeah.
Time's catching.
Champion though.
Yeah, no. He walked off a Super Bowl champion. There's no better way to do it. But that was because he had Von Miller and a nasty defense.
That helps.
Defense was dirty, bro. One of the better defenses of all time, maybe. Cool. We're gonna bounce into this episode here. We are gonna talk Iowa football. There's plenty to talk about. We're starting 2025. Later on in the show, we're gonna do a little state of the program discussion, a little roundtable between us three. Just our quick thoughts on a couple areas of a college football program, most specifically Iowa, of course, the head coach, the staff, where they fit in this new Big Ten, a couple of things like that. But first, Kevin wasn't with us the other day when Grant and I did our post bowl game episode. Kev, thoughts on the 27-24 loss to the Missouri Tigers? Anything about the bowl game that struck you, if any?
Thought the guys played hard. Got to play better on defense, particularly in the back end. It's been a little bit of a concern all year long that we just haven't had the level of play that we're consistently used to last couple of years, which the bar is set really high. But it has to be when you're at Iowa. We need to play elite caliber defense, and they just couldn't make enough plays in the back end to get it done. Offense had a bunch of really positive things. No idea what the fuck that last play was.
I love the honest thoughts here. This is good.
Yeah. I didn't catch any of the post game stuff. Did anybody ask about that? Like,
You're talking about the sneak, right?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know if anybody. I actually didn't watch the post game press conference either. It's one of those things where I've talked about it before. Like nobody comes to this podcast, or at least the numbers significantly dwindle when we lose a game, and people are like, "Okay, fuck it, I'm not consuming any content at the beginning of the week. I'll come back around on the back half. We'll watch the preview episodes of the next game, but I do not want to relive that game." So I was sort of in that mode. Plus, it was the holidays and all this, so I did not listen to anything post game. I don't know if anybody asked about the sneak. I know it was talked about. Me and Grant talked about it. Other podcasts talked about it. From my point of view, I think Grant and I both were sort of consensus. Like, yeah, the guy comes over the top, makes a good leaping play. I think Sully still gets under him and just falls forward, and we probably get it.
Oh, 100%. Yes. Because his feet didn't even look like they were set up, like ready to do a sneak. Also, like we took 30 seconds to run a sneak too, like get up to the ball and do it. We're also like kind of crunched for time there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't follow his line, just like pauses, like freezes. It looks like I don't know, it's just a complete clusterfuck of a play. And I'm watching it, I'm like, did that really just fucking happen? And I think there's maybe, I don't know if I'm grasping, but there might be a bigger story there where every now and then it seems like Sully gets a little jittery, tries to do his own thing.
Well,
And it
this
doesn't
was
always work out.
you may be onto something there, because I believe one of the quotes, and I know Leistico and Doctorman talked about this in their latest podcast, was, I think, was it Lester? It was either Lester or KF, and they called him tightly wound. And multiple games this year, you see where he starts the game very calm. I mean, the first,
I think he does a great job with RPOs.
yeah,
And he does a good job on his first reads. If his first read's not there, he's, I think, a little too eager to start moving around in the backfield and try to scramble around. And just,
and not just within one,
comes with experience.
not just within one play, Kev, but then as the game goes on, if things start to not go perfect, he starts to pull it a little earlier, not go through his progressions quite as much. His even his movement becomes just a little bit more sporadic, and footwork stuff.
Needs to develop some more poise.
And to be honest, I think poise is a good word, maybe, for the entire offense. There wasn't a lot of direction this year. It felt like it was a lot of like catching up to Lester's new offense, bringing in a quarterback that has to now, he's been on campus for 3 months and now he's the guy. We're already behind the 8 ball on wide receivers, and the line played well and Caleb Johnson played well. And to be honest, I don't think we used our tight ends like, knowing what we've done the past 5 to 10 years, I don't think we used our tight ends like anybody would have liked, but there just wasn't a lot of.
To be fair though, like I think Lachey is a good player, but I think Ostringa's got a lot of potential. We also I don't think the tight end room is nearly as talented as it's been in years past. And that's no knock to the current guys on the team. But you look at guys like Laporta and then Hawkinson, Fant, and we've had some really damn good tight ends over the last 5 years.
We've had some dudes. I don't know if I'll fully disagree with you there. I do think that given more opportunities, Ostringa and Lachey put out production. I think they both flashed that talent. They probably didn't. Well, it was impossible. Hawkinson and Fant.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like in years past, like you line up Laporta, you line up
those tight ends created a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Laporta was like a mismatch almost every time he was guarded up.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they could quite create. I mean, nobody could create like Noah could. He's a mismatch made in hell for a defensive back or a linebacker. And Hawkinson just did things that you just don't see. So I think you're right. I do think they were a little bit underutilized. I'm actually looking back now. You talked about the defensive issues. I was curious because the other day I know we were still up there defensively. Trying to find where that little Tiger Hawk is in this ranking system, but I think 39th was our total defense, maybe, or somewhere around the 30s. We definitely took a step back. And again, it's crazy to think that a top quarter of the country, like your top 25 percentile defense, and that's a significant step back and significantly affects your football team.
I mean, and it was expected, right? We lost one of the best players of the country in Cooper DeJean, but we've got to be a big enough program where we can, backfill that and not have us as significant of a drop off. Like we did a great job of stopping the run this game, and I know that Mizzou's quarterback, he's a pretty solid player, but we can't be giving up 300 yards of passing in a game.
No, we can't. So tough one. Doesn't feel, or you tell me, does it feel different in today's landscape now with Caleb? Our best offensive player in a decade is out.
Yeah, but I mean, they had a first round receiver sitting out too. So
sure, but like that just takes it further down the path of what does this mean?
I think you touched on. I think we touched on it on a few podcasts coming into this game. Like, it means a lot to those guys that are on the field that are actually.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think it should mean a lot to the fans too. Like we went out there and gave our best effort with the guys that we had playing, so we should expect to have good results, right?
For sure.
And I think it felt like more guys were playing the bowl games even outside of the college football playoff this year too. Like I know Alabama had a few guys that were pretty high draft prospects they were playing. It felt like maybe the pendulum swinging back a little bit to guys playing in the bowl games more.
Yeah.
I'd be wrong on that. Just what it felt like.
That takes you to a different topic. I think that
because you have like guys playing one half of a bowl game. Is that what it is?
Well, it is technically more. I think there's one guy out there who's just looking to set a record, but
that was something. I do think that when it comes to that issue specifically, we and making the bowl games more important and teams, organizations finding ways for their guys to contribute and play through the entire season. I do think that these NIL things need to start having these deals with teams need to have. I don't know. We saw incentives almost like.
Well, I'm sure when rev share comes, it'll be tied to something like that.
Like you have to play X amount of games, or you'll
get paid. It'd probably be similar to NFL. Like get paid by the game.
You get paid through the bowl game, or if you don't, if you opt out of the bowl game, you lose X percentage of your pay. Like
right, yeah, the bowl game will be another 1/14 of your pay, or 13th, or whatever.
Yeah.
How many games you played that year? Yeah,
and you do that, and I guarantee you close the gap a little bit. There's still going to be guys who are like, I don't care about.
I'm a top 10 pick. This,
the $50,000
check's like not worth it if I get hurt.
Yeah, my signing bonus is
a $5 million signing bonus.
Yeah, exactly. But there's not a ton of those guys out there, though. So you will close the gap on everybody.
Right. Yeah, there's 15 in the country.
Right.
And those, so I think they're probably on a playoff team, more than likely.
Yeah, many of them are for sure. So you'll find ways to. I think that would help us a lot in the opt-outs for bowl games range. Still a lot of problems out there, but I think that's one potential thing. Speaking of, we went through call it the second round, the round of 8, most recently in the college football playoff, which is still going on here in the beginning of 2025. Some great football between Texas and Arizona State. Some not so great football in other places. Oregon decided that they would try and make up for our defeat there and try and make that. They were really going for worst performance in Rose Bowl history is what I was getting at there. And I thought maybe if they could lose bad enough to Ohio State, that could flip the script and just erase what happened there about 8 years ago.
Well, I mean, at least your guys wasn't like a playoff game. I mean, this
True.
was for. I mean, this was a response semis.
You're right. What do we think of that? Any thoughts on what happened between the Ducks and the Buckeyes?
They had a month to prepare for that and got blown out.
No, I mean, it's interesting that all the teams with bye weeks lost.
Yeah, isn't it?
Now, granted, going back to the seeding thing, 2 of them probably didn't deserve the bye.
True.
But, like Georgia and Oregon being the top 2 seeds and really not being terribly competitive, either of them was surprising. No, Ohio State is, maybe that Michigan loss was exactly what they needed because they are playing their best football.
They look good, boys.
Large margin right now, and if they keep playing to that caliber, they're unbeatable.
Jeremiah Smith is fucking unguardable,
dude. Yeah,
that kid's 18.
Yeah, and the NCAA is stuck with him for the next 2 years.
I would be, dude, if I was a part of a secondary that had to guard him, I would be terrified. He is unreal.
Yeah. There's
Did you see that quote that he had?
Talent like that is so hard to scheme for.
It's
so hard because if you really focus that, hey, we're gonna shut this guy down, you're handicapping the hell out of yourself somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the quote that he had? I think it was in like one of the pregame or Rose Bowl leading up to press conferences where he's like, just know that if you do man against us, we're going to take a shot downfield. And it was like first drive, Oregon does exactly that. And they just scored a touchdown right away.
Ohio State's like, wow, we tried to tell him, tried to tell him.
Yeah, no, I was surprised. I thought it'd be a higher scoring game. I was surprised that Oregon wasn't able to keep up with them offensively. Really at all.
Well, their defense came out absolutely on fire too. Like their whole team was going nuts. Maybe the best game of the best game of the playoffs so far. Texas, Arizona State, completely out of nowhere. Like I think many thought like, oh, this could go poorly.
It should have gone poorly. The talent gap in that game was substantial. There's no reason Texas should have even been in the same ballpark as them. But,
and I think the final result is actually a solid example and argument for why an expanded playoff can really be great.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to play the game still, right? Good teams, they fumble, they throw picks, they drop passes.
Dude, Alabama this year
mistakes end up losing you football games.
Alabama is theoretically undefeated against all the teams they didn't play this year.
That's crazy.
So, and they come out and lay an egg versus Michigan, right?
Yeah. Well, it's Michigan who had like 5 or 6 people sitting.
Yeah,
like good
Indiana
players.
Played Notre Dame closer than Georgia, right?
Yeah.
But people are saying they should.
SEC, baby.
Yeah.
When you're talking the expanded, though, I'd say almost the best argument for it is like Ohio State. I mean, they're the 8th seed.
Oh yeah, true.
And they're everyone's favorite to win it now. But
yeah,
if it was the 4 team, they would have been I don't know, the ReliaQuest Bowl, someone else.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
Well,
that far,
but I'm just saying any other bowl game, right? Like they wouldn't have been out. But now everyone's like, oh, they're the favorite to win.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I think we've gotten to see some cool football. Cam Scadaboo, I mean, shout out to him.
QB 1, wide receiver 1, running back 1.
I've never seen a guy ball out. I mean, he must have really been hurting. Like something was wrong with him at some point in that game. But it kind of just looked like he was being a massive pussy. At some points, like you pan over to him and he's just on the sideline, like he just looks
like concussed.
Oh, he had to have been. And he just doesn't.
Which is not surprising the way that he runs. He like ducks his head to like bounce off of tackles. It's things are not going to work out for him well at the next level.
No. But his draft stock has continued to skyrocket since then. Throws a pass that was underthrown, but they end up completing it. Touchdown. He catches a huge ball down the left side. I mean, the guy can absolutely
interference by 100% offensive pass.
Probably, but
they called defensive on it, and it was offensive.
Arizona State comes back, makes this overtime, got him to 4th and 13, blows.
Oh my
it.
God, that They just let a guy loose in the end zone too. I was like, this. That's when I tweeted, this is a highly entertaining game. This is just terrible.
Horrible football, but very entertaining. Yeah, man, it was really fun to watch. Genty kind of got shut down. I mean, he still got 100 yards. It was on 30 carries, but Penn State, they take care of business, and we've got a couple really good football games coming up for semifinals. I think it's going to be fun to watch.
Tonight's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic.
And when are those? Are those this week?
It's Thursday and Friday. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that'll be fun. That'll be later this week. So, some other stuff around college football. I thought this was funny. This is right up the sort of our alley here. University of Washington senior linebacker Drew Fowler declares for the job market. His statement reads, yada yada yada. Thanks a bunch of people. The college. And then he goes, with that being said, I'm officially declaring for the job market. In other words, I need a job. You or anybody you know has an employment opportunity, I am your guy. Gritty, hardworking, sneaky athletic, locker room guy, will bring my lunch pail to work. My LinkedIn is updated and I am #open to work.
I would hire this guy. I would hire this guy.
Oh, dude, could you imagine
Fantastic
how many
marketing?
This tweet got 2.1 million
interactions.
Yeah, interactions. I mean, can you imagine how many companies reached out to him?
I would check his Twitter profile. Is he hired yet?
He might be.
Check his LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, I probably have to go to LinkedIn. That was the last thing he posted, so who knows? I'm sure we'll have an update soon. And then
a commitment post then. Like he just feel like we're committed to KPMG.
A commitment post would be nice, wouldn't it? To know he's working for Procter and Gamble now or something like that. This is a fun one. This most recent transfer portal NIL debacle. This kid right here is I think depending on what service you're looking at, a 4 or 5 star, one of the biggest QB commits in the incoming class that just signed in December. He was committed to Cal for 4 months before signing day, where he flipped to Oregon. He enrolled at Oregon, was with them for the blowout loss in Pasadena.
How did he already enroll?
He enrolled for the spring semester and then was with them on the sideline for the Ohio State game. After the game, the next day or soon after, he decommits and recommits to Cal.
Didn't he already sign?
Signed, went into the transfer portal, committed to Cal. He hadn't even taken a class yet, dude.
How is that allowed?
Anything's allowed, Kevin. Anything's allowed.
I mean,
the almighty Calgorithm shows up.
Calgorithm.
And his name, he has a great name, Jaron Kiawe Segapolotelli.
Okay, I'm going to say that there is a less than 15% chance that he finishes his collegiate career.
That he ever sees a snap. Yeah, I don't have high hopes for the kid. So that's some of the fun stuff going on.
Did you see the Rashada is in the portal too? He has a similar kind of
Georgia backup.
Yeah, well, a former Georgia backup, I guess. But he has a kind of similar, like, been to a lot of different places track record as well.
I saw a couple Iowa people retweeted that, like we might have a chance. Like, I don't know if we're getting Rashada.
I don't think. I just don't. Yeah, here's
Jalen Rashada since June of 2022. So this is 2.5 years. Commits to Miami, flips to Florida, decommits from Florida 2 months later, commits and signs with Arizona State. A year later, transfers to Georgia, which was early last spring, and then re-enters the portal today. My God.
Dudes like this just scream headaches. I as a head coach, I'm like, I look at that rap sheet and I don't want anything to do with it.
It screams chasing a bag.
Yeah.
Like, I hope he got paid. I hope he got his money, because you are ruining your reputation by flip-flopping like that. And he hasn't played one meaningful snap, has he, Grant?
And I get people want
to my knowledge, no. In college.
People yeah, the guys deserve to get paid and follow the money, but at the same time, you want people on your team that want to be there.
Speaking of getting paid, Kevin.
Yeah.
We're owed some money.
We'll see if it closes.
You have doubts?
Never trust the federal government.
Or it's just one of those things where it's like until the deal is done, you just
exactly. Yeah, there's until the judge says okay, we can move on. I'm not accounting for anything.
For those in the dark here, I'm not gonna go into it too heavy, but there's a lawsuit, and $2.8 billion with a B dollars was awarded to the what would you call us, Kevin?
Plaintiffs.
We're a part of the pool of potential plaintiffs, of which I might not even be, because I never even got the information. I had to go submit a manual claim, and I don't even know if they got it. So if I get left out of this thing and you get paid, Kevin, I'll fucking kill someone. Okay? I'll fucking kill somebody.
You get your shit figured out or no?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, but it doesn't feel real solid at this point. Anyway, we've joked on the show. I think when the lawsuit was settled upon and the $2.8 billion payout came out, Kevin and I were like, yeah, we'll probably get like $500. We'll get like a bag of chips and we'll get to see ourselves in a video game retroactively or something. And potentially it could be
a couple bags of chips.
It could be a few bags of chips. It could be a little more than that. So again, I will be nuclear, Kevin, if you get paid out and the other guys get paid out and I don't, because of the back end details of this. Anyway.
Can I bring up something similar, but
sure.
Not the same?
Yeah.
There's a lot of eligibility talk as well. Potential for everyone gets 5 years, no matter what.
Saw that.
Why?
Well, you got now like there's.
They basically do already, man. They get 4 games and they still can redshirt.
You would essentially be changing it from you get your 4 years and you can then redshirt and get 4 full years. You get 4 games and then 4 full years to okay, just play the other 8 games now, and it would be 5. Also, did you see that if you go to a JUCO,
right,
none of those years count?
Yeah.
So you could go.
So I guess the NCAA just loves 25-year-olds playing college football.
I mean, you could
love it.
There's just going to be 10th years handed out somehow, some way. Like,
this is what I was getting at was the Ott Farms lawsuit versus the NCAA is going to be.
Oh yeah,
that is going to give us at least 2 years of material to talk about.
Ott Farms has got to cash in on this because Drew got 3.5 years, and that's it. And that like the average college kid is getting like 6 years now, at least with the COVID shit. So if I was Drew, and Drew's the opposite kind of person from this, but I would just be on fire every day I woke up for the rest of my life about not getting the years and games that he should have. Anyway, we'll bounce into a little bit of what I was going to finish with here today. And that is, I'm just calling it State of the Program. We're sitting here. It's the first episode of 2025. Happy 2025, by the way. I hope there's great things in store for all of us this year. And before we get into this, actually, I want to do a little fun exercise. Going back to the whole, we're closing in on 600 episodes. Grant, you've been here for 100 and I'm not sure what amount, but a good portion of them, fully a part of this thing now. We've had a lot of fun guests on over the years, Kev. In 2025, if you guys had one guest that we have not had on the show yet, that you could choose to, like, this is the one I want to land. This is the guy I want on the podcast this year, or girl. Who would that be? I will go first. And that is maybe a little bit of a regret here because we should have bounced on this sooner. But I would really like to get Caitlin on the podcast.
It's like the lowest hanging fruit you possibly could have. Like,
no. I don't think it is.
A stunningly shocking answer.
The lowest hanging fruit?
That's like the most obvious answer. Like, no shit.
Thanks.
You think it is? Okay,
Yeah.
then I'll go with another answer.
She's like the most famous Hawkeye in America right now.
Fair enough.
Could just say Hawkeye in Canada, probably too.
Probably. Definitely in Europe.
In the world.
I'll say it right now. Caitlin Clark is the most famous Hawkeye in Romania. I'll say it right now.
Guaranteed.
You're probably right.
aside,
Actually, I don't know. Maybe they like the wrestlers over there. They might
I
like
feel like we should have tried to get her on sooner. There was a time where I was like, I think she's getting, jokingly, I was like, she might be too big to even get on the podcast now. She is like 100%.
Dude, she was on Saturday Night Live.
I'm saying way before this, like when she was still in the program.
Mm-hmm.
Then there became a point where I was like, fuck, we fucked up. We didn't get her on, and now she's quite literally an A-list celebrity. Our problem, our bad. I'd like to get her on. If we're going former Hawkeye football player, the elusive Bob Sanders would be the one that I would really like to get on for an episode. And he's a hard guy to get in contact with.
He's not a very social guy.
You have to hire like a private investigator just to give him an offer.
Just to find him, just to find an email. I got a couple avenues I haven't exhausted yet, but he would be one.
I mean, yeah, that'd be a good one. I remember when he came and talked to us once our senior year.
Yeah. Yep. I remember.
Asked the coaches to leave, just wanted to talk to the players.
Yep. I remember that too.
Yeah. It wasn't like he was even saying anything like
no.
The coaches didn't want to hear. He's just like, the coaches being there getting me nervous, and I want to be able to give you guys a good message.
It was fucking awesome.
Was he still nervous about the idea of getting pulled back into like Ferentz's office for some reason?
I don't know what it was. It's just
I think he just wanted to get in the mode of like talking to the guys, and he
probably, no, Bob Sanders, would be an awesome get. Put me on the spot here. Dan Gable.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a real good one. I think we might be able to do that. We've got an in.
We have an in with the family.
We have an in with the fam. And probably several other ways too. I think Nelson Brands listens to our show. At least some of them. He's liked some of our tweets before, and I've seen him like a couple of our posts.
He's a popular Twitter user.
Probably could get there through that avenue at some point somehow. The Brands,
brothers too.
I would just like to get the Brands on.
Brothers.
Yeah. God, I feel like you let them loose and we
we don't even have to.
And you just
every 15 minutes we ask one question. Yeah.
Can I suggest something?
Yeah, I would love to hear what you.
Is it too early to talk to Brian? Too early?
That's a big one that's requested. The other day in the Discord, I said, hey, this is, start of the year. It'd be a good time. Anybody who we haven't had on that you'd love to hear. Brian was said by 3 or 4 people.
Sure.
I would love to talk to Brian.
I would love to talk to Brian. I don't know if he'll do it.
I don't know if it'd be in his best interest to do it.
Same. I don't know if I feel disrespectful asking so close to him being still the coach. The other part of that is we are not doing an episode with Brian without Drake, which if we get Brian, Drake will absolutely be here. There's no way in hell that he would miss that, but there's a little bit of coordination there that would have to happen for that episode. We might maybe put that one like on the back burner again. Who knows if we're here in 2026, but we'll maybe shelf that for one more year. We'll just reassess. Time heals everything. We'll just reassess in a year. Other than Brian Grant, you got any on there?
Oh, I mean, Brand's brother was the first thing that came to my mind. If I'm just being totally honest.
Cool.
When I talked to she's busy right now, but like when I got lucky enough to do like 20 minutes with Jan back in May. I think she would be so fun to have on here. Like a full on like hour guest. I think that'd be great.
That would be sick. Lisa, now that she's retired, I think she's enjoying retirement, and I feel bad kind of encroaching on that, even asking for her. I mean, today, actually, as we record this, it was Lisa Bluter Day in Carver Hawkeye. Last I checked, we were getting run out the building by Maryland, who's like a top 10 team. They couldn't miss. But
to those,
I would love to have.
It was fake.
It was fake. I'd love to have Lisa Bluter on here. I mean, she would be incredible.
Or do you think like you like Pat or Connor?
McCaffrey?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I think we could get both of them.
Okay. I would be interested to talk to those two.
At one point, I was in talks of me and Kevin going on their show when they were doing it, and then them coming on ours.
Oh,
so I think they would come on here for
pot
sure.
for a pot. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And this is kind of separate, but I want to do another. I want to talk to the Confused Breakfast guys again.
Oh, I'd love to bring.
And it was close to a year ago now, but that was fun. He didn't. No, he just went to Iowa. He didn't play football at Iowa, to my knowledge.
No, he just happens to be another big Iowa podcast. From Cedar Rapids. So Mike Schulte is his name. I actually went to one of their shows, the Pork Tornadoes, when they came to Des Moines. Cool. Name. Unbelievable name. We'll get into this. We'll do a quick 15 minutes of the idea here. What I was thinking was start 2025. We're we are at the end of Coach Ferentz's coaching career relative to how many years he has been doing this thing. We are at the beginning of a new Big Ten first year with 18 teams in it, expanded playoff. College football, there's a lot of things changing, a lot of things happening, a lot of rules and structures that have shifted and changed. So I figured to start the year, excuse me, we just take a little stock. We take a little inventory. And it starts at the top, as you know, Kev. It's top down, trickle down effect. KF is the tip of the spear. How long does Coach have left? You think 2 years? 2?
Yeah.
I personally think that this will be his final year. That is my gut feeling. I have nothing behind that. Contract is through 2029. Don't see him making it through 2029. There's just too much bullshit. There's just too much bullshit. I think at some point, and there's a couple other big things in his coaching career that are on the horizon. I think 2 wins gives him the all-time first in Big Ten coaching wins. So that is on the table next year, and it's just kind of where he's at.
I think it's also it'll be very fluid based off of say he's I was planning on being in 2 years, but I think this team next year is going to be really good. So I want to stick around for that.
Sure.
It's and also let's not discount what he actually says in the interviews is that
100%.
He's still enjoying himself. There's nothing else he'd rather do than come to the facility and coach football and be with his staff and his players, right?
For sure. There is a part of that too, though, where as a head coach of a program, knowing that you've got recruits committed to you, families committed to you, that you can never give any inkling of.
No.
Yeah, right. So
yes.
Who knows?
Yeah.
He's, if any, and I don't think there's a lot of people that ever get to this point, especially in today's age, but I think it's pretty consensus that he's earned going out his way. You're not going to convince me and Kevin of otherwise. I think there's plenty of people who on the outside who are like, yeah, fire him, get him out of here, kick him to the curb after 25 years. We don't care. So it'll be interesting.
The only way, is I don't see it happening either, but if, there's forces on the inside of the athletic department that, have kind of an idea for the transition for who the next one would be, perhaps it's Coach Wallace, perhaps it's Coach Woods or whatever. It's hey, how long can we hang on to these guys in these current roles before we lose them forever to head coaching roles elsewhere?
It's like you're looking at my documented notes, Kev, because my next thing was, should the successor be from the current staff? And then getting into the staff, how long do Woods and Wallace stay? Because that's...
Yeah, because they can go be head coaches at other schools.
Immediately.
Yeah.
If those two open themselves up to the job market, they would be head coaches for this following year. Somewhere,
yeah. Maybe not Power 4, probably not Power 4, but
not at this point, probably. But Mason is a Hawkeye.
Yeah, I think that'll keep
that helps
LeVar around for a while.
That helps.
Yeah.
Coach Wallace's kids are younger, so that's not any sort of factor other than just keeping your family in the same spot. But
I think his oldest is in high school now, man.
You're shitting me.
I feel like he said something.
Bro, we've been out of school for
here.
a little bit now.
God, we're so old. Fuck. That's crazy if that's true. So, you know, a lot of people are going to be hesitant on that. Should the successor be one of those two guys? It's different than the Brian thing. Like there's going to be this feeling of the nepotism. It's not going to be the same. I think plenty of people out there who didn't like Brian and maybe don't even necessarily like KF do like what Coach Woods and Coach Wallace are doing. And that kind of takes me to, again, like looking at the coordinators of this staff. Where does Iowa football sit right now? I quite honestly can't imagine you could say that there could be a better offensive coordinator, but for where we were to where we are now.
Oh, the improvement is dramatic, no doubt.
We have Phil Parker at D coordinator. I don't want anybody else. We have LeVar Woods at special teams coordinator. I don't want anybody else. And then we have Tim Lester. Maybe there's other guys that are better than him, but from where we were and the improvement that we made this year and what he puts out there as where we could go, I feel very confident about him as the OC. So I feel really good about it.
Yeah.
Roster would come next, and the roster is going to go through a little bit of turnover here. Not the worst.
Yeah.
Not the worst. I think better than what we maybe initially would have expected. We're going to have to fill a couple spots, and we got a D-line commit from South Dakota State, supposedly plug and play guy that's going to fill in the middle. I think we got a guy from Central Michigan that plays D-line as well.
Also, no, offensive line, I think.
Offensive line? Okay.
Hold on. I'm going to check that.
I have no idea. Figure that one out for me. So we're filling the spots on the line. The big one is obviously he was in town. Things could have happened post 7:20 p.m. on Sunday night, the 5th. But Mark Gronowski, the quarterback transfer he's at least in the portal. He could also decide to go to the NFL. He is, as of right now, not committed to Iowa, but some people are saying that there's a good chance that he will be. If we land him as a QB1 option for next year, like we're filling some gaps. And then we've got defensively a lot of guys who have been waiting in the wings, and they're going to step into roles like we see happen all the time. Who knows what their production will be? I feel decent about the roster. I feel okay. So, what I'm kind of getting at here, Kev, and it goes back to the bowl game, is we went 8-5. As a
both line, by the way, I was wrong.
Okay. As a fan, we're sitting here and we're going to go into spring ball here in 2 months. And how should we process that 2024 season and where the Iowa Hawkeyes are at right now? How should we feel about this?
The 2024 season, I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there who's happy with the way it went. 8 wins is not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I think given the schedule, we all had a lot higher expectations for this team coming into this year.
Yeah. What in an 18-team conference with established blue blood powers and at least for now, the way that certain schools are funded in the NIL era, because people do this, right? And I know you and I don't think this way. We just are like, hey, go play every game, win every game, focus on what's in front of you. But from a fan's perspective, they're like, what should we expect? I'm an Iowa Hawkeye fan. We should at least go to the Big Ten championship once every X amount of years. We should at least get a Big Ten championship every X. Where are we with that? How do we even look at that?
I mean,
I'll give you what I think.
It's tough to say as a whole. I kind of base my judgment going into each year. What should we expect from this team this year with this schedule, etc. And there's been years in the past where it's like, yeah, I mean, we should really expect to win the West and go to the Big Ten championship this year. And if we don't, it's kind of disappointing. Moving forward, with 18-team conference with 2 at-large bids to the championship, I don't know how often we're going to see Indianapolis,
I told somebody on Twitter that got into a conversation with me this weekend that this is just Tyler Kluber. I think Iowa should expect to find themselves in the conversation in that final week or two once every 4 or 5 years. Like, they are a top 3 or 4 team, and if things fall correctly, somebody loses, they end up being the second team in, right, to the big. I think we should be at least in the conversation once every 5 years, and we should get there maybe once every 10 or 12 years. Like, that is legitimately where I think Iowa sits as a program.
And I mean, that's not a knock. It's the best it's the best conference in the country with 18 teams. And not being the top 2
it's really fucking hard, man.
It's really fucking hard. The thing is Searles mentioned this is like when we had him on like spring this spring, right? It's going to be easier to make the college football playoff than to make the Big Ten championship.
Than to make any conference championships. Well, that's not true.
No, that's not true. No.
For the Big 12, but for the SEC and the Big 10, it is going to be easier to make the playoff than it will be to make the conference championship game. Because they're getting more than 2 in the playoff every year. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and then you look at the playoff, and that's
so like, how often should we expect to compete for the Big Ten title? Like you said, I don't know.
I think it's legit.
I don't know how things are going to shake up when rev share becomes a thing, if that evens the playing field for us or not.
Who knows?
And so that's a big unknown for me. So I don't know, but I do think that expecting to be in the conversation to make the playoff every 3 years, I don't think that's too much to ask for.
I think that's a good spot to be. Every 3-ish years, I think they should be at least average.
At least in the conversation to make the playoff.
Yeah, in that final week around.
Especially if it moves to 16.
Absolutely. I think the Iowa Hawkeyes can be in the conversation.
I mean, just look at the last 10 years. How many times have we been ranked in the top 16 at the end of the year?
Our good year, 2015, we would have made the playoff.
Yep. 2019 probably would have made. They went 10-3, so they ended the season 9-3.
It would have been
that. It probably maybe a 16-team playoff. I don't know whether
they would have been in the conversation though.
Yeah.
Like towards the end, it still would have been close.
And 2021. Got blown out in the Big Ten championship.
2021, you would have had a better case though because you beat Penn State earlier in the season.
2021 would have been probably.
I'm gonna say they were. I'm gonna say they were.
You'd be in the conversation. So that's 3 of the last 9 years. It's one every 3 years, right? And
I think we were ranked like 20 when we went to the conference championship 2 years ago.
Sounds right.
Or last year, whatever it was.
And that's a good spot to be because then if you do find a way, that year specifically, no one felt like we had a chance. Our offense was dead.
Yeah.
But if you felt like you had a chance and you go win that conference championship game.
I mean, yeah, it's like you're in the poker tournament, and like you're down on chips, but you have a chip in a chair, right?
Chip in a chair, baby. And you can find your way in there. And so I think if in the new era playoff, especially if it goes to 16, expectation, if you're gonna put a number on it, I think 1 every 3 or 4 years is I think that's agreeable. I hate putting those expectations on it because it's just there's so many factors, but people are gonna want, like it's so hard when you start listing off Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, USC. You're gonna find a way into the Big Ten.
Will bounce back.
You're gonna find a way into the Big Ten championship every couple of years with those established powers and NIL bases. I'm just telling you the detail. Like it's you're up against some fucking behemoths.
Like Indiana's getting better. Washington.
Every team is trying to chase. Wisconsin's down right now, but who knows what they got in the future? Like
I think Michigan State's gonna get better. Man.
I think Wisconsin just absolutely trashed their program for a few years, but I don't think I could be a freezing cold take in the future. I don't know if it's going to work out with Luke Fickell there in Wisconsin. I think they kind of need to go back to who they were a little bit.
I would agree.
Yeah, but they have the infrastructure there to always be a good program. They just kind of lost their identity a little.
Yeah, and when you start rattling off programs like that, and there's 7 or 8 of them who are just
Michigan State's good every now and then.
They're always going to have a chance.
They were good for a long time before they started going through some coaching changes. There's a lot of talent around the conference. Yeah,
it is real. It's really hard.
Their coaches get paid a lot of money too, and their players are making a lot of money too. And
Rutgers won a bowl game this year. Like, it's a lot on the up for sure.
Don't sleep on Rutgers, right?
Shiano's got going, right? It matters to Shiano.
I mean, Maryland's got some of the best recruiting grounds in the country.
That's a joke, but for real, you have to deal with 6 established powers, and then you have to deal with the Indiana that happens every year. What team is randomly going to have their year? And now you have to deal with them too. Like, it's damn near
that's
impossible.
The one thing about having this 18-team league is, like, every now and then, like, you can have an Indiana schedule, right? Like, Indiana's a good football team, but they also had one of the easiest schedules in the Big Ten.
For sure. So
they caught Michigan on a down year, Washington on a down year. They had to play Ohio State. Guess what? You can lose one game, and it doesn't hurt you anymore. Especially to a top team. So,
and all that being said, to wrap this up as our first episode of the new year, I personally, shocker, I think there's a lot of optimism. I think there's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah. I really think that this rev share thing could just drastically change everything, because Iowa's athletic program makes enough to contribute the maximum amount that's going to be allowed, which is $20-something million a year to their players. And that's going to even out the playing field. Like we've talked about before, is like NIL, Swarm does great with what it's got.
Sign up for Swarm.
We're not funding nearly as much as those bigger programs are.
No, we will have Brad on.
Not even in the same ballpark, right?
No, the whole playing field gets leveled again with this rev share thing. So it feels like 4 or 5 years in a row now.
It gets leveled for like 30 programs.
Yeah, you're right. We happen to be one of them, though.
We're lucky enough to be one of them.
Maybe. At least it matters a little bit. So that's where we're at. I think as a fan, you're listening, you're with the Walkons. Hey, I'm part of the Walk-On Army, baby, which is also going extinct. A whole other issue there. The Walk-Ons?
Oh, you made it sound like everyone who listens to this show is going extinct.
No.
That's what you made it sound like.
No, I mean the Walk-Ons in general, they're a dying breed. We're gonna make a T-shirt, by the way. Save the Walk-On.
This was the last year of the Walk-On, right?
We're gonna make it. We're coming out with merch. I'm gonna get on the design here soon. Save the Walk-Ons. We'll get a campaign going.
You know what that campaign's going to be is like, I know you have 100-guy roster limit and you can put them all on scholarship. I'm just asking that you don't put 5 of them on scholarship.
Take 5 of them, make them fucking earn it.
You know? Make them fucking pay.
But I think there's a lot to be excited about. We're gonna be here covering it from an entertainment content standpoint as we move forward, and hopefully we get a lot of cool guests on the show in 2025 as well. I have a huge list that we need to start working after, starting with a lot of the outgoing seniors. I think there's some characters in there that we could bring on to make some pretty good episodes, pretty good interviews. So thank you for being here with us in 2025. Thanks for coming to the first episode. We're excited. We'll see you in the next one on Thursday. Back to that Monday, Thursday schedule for now. If there's different things that happen in the future, we'll let you know. Monday, Thursday, every week with the Walk-Ons. We'll see you then.